Assalamu alaikum and good greetings. So today I'll be watching a video titled Best of Ricky Gervais on Religion number 3. I've watched the first two and this will be, I guess, the remaining clips of Ricky Gervais talking related to God or religion. I'm interested to hear and to see his perspective. Without further ado, let's watch.
Am I optimistic? I mean, I've got nothing to fear. I look at this a bit like a holiday. We don't exist for 13.5 billion years. Then we exist for 80, 90, 100 years, if we're lucky. And you experience everything. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing to be alive. The chances of us being here, as us, that sperm hitting that egg, is 400 trillion to 1. It's incredible that we're here, you know. And then we die, never to exist again, you know. And some people even get offended by me saying that. They say things like, you don't know that. No, I'll probably live again. You know. Someone said on Twitter once to me, why don't you pray just in case there's a God? And I said, why don't you put garlic over your door just in case there's a Dracula? Right? Well, I've got...
Yeah, I have heard that kind of argument before. And it may make sense if you have a religion to impose it to others that do not believe in God. Said, you know, just in case, you know, because I think they frame it as this. If you are true, meaning that we all die after this, then no problem. Yeah, you have no problem. I have no problem. But if what I say is true, there's a God, then you are in trouble while I'm okay, right? So they pose it as such, which is interesting, which seems that, see, then it's better to have religion. But in the reality of multiple religion that exist, you know, can you say that? Can you say that just in case, okay, in case there's no God, then no problem. But in case there's God, which one will be saved? Which one will be, you know, accepted by God? Should you consider all in case, right? Meaning, in case Christianity is correct, in case Judaism is correct, in case Islam is correct, in case Hinduism is correct, etc. Meaning, so you have to practice all. Is that it, right? So, from that perspective, it doesn't really make sense, I think. Of course, personal view. So, and from my position, it is not just in case this is correct, because we are doing this, we are committing to something because we truly believe this is true. This is the truth, and what Islam claim will be the truth, right? Meaning that will actually happen. And this is the religion that is accepted by God. And hence we discuss the proof, we discuss the evidence, right? So whoever is convinced that they have the truth, they should be also, you know, open to discuss the evidence, because we should have something to back up our claim. Otherwise, are you just practicing that religion just in case? If that is the case, you should consider other just in case, right? What if you are wrong? What if this one is correct, right? Because if you do not have that evidence or proof to say that this, what I'm having now, is the truth, then is it the case of just in case this is true? But if that is the case, again, what about if that is false and the other one is true? You have to practice everything, and that is also, I'm not sure whether it's an oxymoron or not, but that is also doesn't make sense, because if you're practicing that religion, then you cannot practice, meaning there are some religion that is basically mutually exclusive, right? For example, in Islam, you cannot practice Islam at the same time practice something else that goes against Islam, right? I mean, that becomes shirk if you acknowledge other gods, for example, right? Going back here, so I do agree that those kind of argument doesn't really hold water.
I've got no problem with praying, you know. It doesn't bother me. I've never been bothered by spirituality. I don't believe in it, but a personal belief has never been a danger. As I say, religion is something else, and not even just religion, but dogma. Dogma is the dangerous bit, and it doesn't just exist in religion. It exists in more and more places now. That cultism, that which shouldn't be questioned. Anything that, that's what you want to question. If someone says you shouldn't question this, you've got to question it. You've got to question it.
Yeah. Of course, like he mentioned, there are things that is outside religion as well that have that thing, right? I'm not sure if is it like a ruler that cannot be questioned, for example. So, yeah, I don't believe in such thing. Now, among the accusation of some about Islam is that it have that, meaning that you cannot question in Islam. But if you look at the reality, the Sahaba, the companion, do question, right? Meaning that if we are talking about we do not understand, and then we said not to question, that doesn't really make sense, right? The scope within Islam where you can see the how to say, the teaching not to question certain things is only after you have established certain things. For example, you have established God exists, you have established that God, have all the powers, etc., upon us, and we are created and we are servant of God, etc., etc., etc. Then, only if all of that is proven, and there's no question about it. So meaning that you are talking about not questioning whether this is true and hence whether we can accept this is God, but having established that, now you shouldn't question the authority of your creator. Meaning in that domain, then you have those kind of discussion. But within the discussion of evaluating which is the truth, etc., you should question, and Quran always give reasoning, always ask you to ponder, etc., right? So within that, there's no such thing as not to question. So it is one it is false assumption about Islam. That's number one. Second, it is also unfortunate that some things happen in certain either family or I don't know, school that kind of teach that. Unfortunately, it shouldn't.
We're all born atheist, and then that gets changed or enhanced. I mean, there shouldn't even be a word for atheism. It shouldn't exist. Shouldn't need it. There's not a word for not believing in fairies, and if people didn't keep inventing these weird, impossible deities, we wouldn't have to go around denying them. It's a matter of degrees. If you go around feeling good because whatever life throws at you, it'll all be okay in heaven, that's great. Doesn't affect anyone. Fine. If you pray that you'll do well at work and then you try hard and do well at work and you believe it was the praying, fine. We know it wasn't. We know the praying was irrelevant. We know praying without actually doing anything doesn't do anything. Praying and then working towards something. Praying to me is like making a list. That's all it does. It may even motivate you. It may even, it's getting your thoughts clear. Thinking there's someone hearing you and changing stuff, that's something else. But again, still not harmful. But if you start doing crazy stuff because God's telling you to, that affects me. I've got to stop you there. And if
generally speaking, when someone actually claim, God talk to him, and that's just the reason why they do some crazy stuff. Obviously, I myself would question, right? Because as someone that believe in God, in a creator, and belong to a specific religion, which in case Islam, which I believe as the truth, it doesn't mean that I accept, all, meaning because I can understand from those, even though just now it's talk about the word atheism shouldn't exist, right? Because but anyway, because when to discuss, we have to have words to describe things that is different, so that message can come across. So I will use that word. So I can understand from atheist perspective, they see all this religion as the same, right? Because from their perspective, there's no such thing as God, etc., etc. So everything is just your imagination or made up. So there's no such difference with any whatever claim. So it is generally like you lump into the same basket in terms of, you know, God asking you to do something and it's crazy, etc. But from me as a Muslim, I also will question anyone, be it someone that identify as a Muslim or not, that says, you know, God told me to do this, and you know, whatever crazy stuff. I mean, for example, those who identify as Muslim, we can see ISIS, for example, right? So I would question them. If they are in front of me, I would question, where do you get this from, right? And of course, I know those who think that they actually take from Quran, etc. From their, of course, from my perspective, it's from perverting. They are perverting that, you know, that those verses, etc. But back to the point, you know, when someone's claim of God involve them doing certain things, terrorism included, I don't know, harming people, whatever, I would question as well, right? It's so that's not really about religion or not. That's about, one is, what is the proof that is actually God, right? Because even if, you know, a Muslim come and say that God asked me to do this, where do you get it from? Do you have a dream, etc.? And how do you know if then the source is something like that? My question is, how do you know exactly that is God and not the devil or whatever, right? So just an example.
If someone goes around saying there is a God and bad people go to hell, fine, doesn't affect me. If they go around saying there is a God and bad people go to hell, I'm going to help God send them to hell by stoning them to death. Whoa, he doesn't need your help. He's all powerful. Chill out. God's got this one. Everyone gets, and I used to be frivolous and I used to do not, now I just answer them seriously.
That's funny in a certain way, but also if any Muslim says that, right, I will, meaning in Islam you cannot do things on behalf of God just because, you know, that is your intention. I'm doing this on behalf of God. Meaning, when did God ever give you the authority to be doing stuff on behalf of God? When? Right, so no Muslim can say something like that.
If we evolved from apes, why are there still apes around? I used to say things like, well, if God made man from dust, why is there still dust around? And things like, you know, but now I say, well, we didn't evolve from modern apes, we evolved with modern apes from a common ancestor, rather like, and I just answer it deadly serious, like they, you know, it doesn't help. Then someone followed it up with, well, I've been going to the same zoo for 24 years and I haven't seen one monkey turn into a person. But I think, even though that's incredibly stupid, we think, actually, it shows what the problem is when people try and understand it. They can't grasp the scale of it. They can't imagine these tiny changes. No one can imagine 50 million years. So they do expect the chimp to go, come on, lad, get on with it. And that's because they also give it a will. They think, even non-religious people who are trying to understand, they try and think that the giraffe was really stretching his neck, you know. That's the problem. There's lots of little logical problems that hasn't been explained properly. But actually, it's, if I can understand it, anyone can, you know. Well, they can't see that it's nearly an analog thing as well. And
For the record, I myself see, you know, people saying things like that, right? If man comes from monkey or ape, because that's a false beginning, right? You know, the claim is not that. The claim is, it's not like we come from that monkey. The claim is we are the monkey and the giraffe and whatever, actually, to meaning everything, if you go from the claim, right, go all the way through, have the same ancestor. That's the claim. Of course, for me, that claim is still ridiculous, but at the same time, for those who do not understand the claim and making an argument as if the claim is something else, that is also a problem, in my opinion.
I think you've spoken about this before, your amazing model about if you took a picture of your dad and your grandparents and their dad, at any one point you go, they look alike. But at some point is a fish. You know, eventually there's a fish. I didn't see that coming. Well, you did. You see, you know, it's so that they, again, it's the scale. The scale is unimaginable. It's lucky that it did happen because we couldn't imagine it. If it wasn't fact, we couldn't make that up because it's incredible. It's incredible.
It's perfectly true, but whenever I've done that...
If you throw a load of coins on the floor, no one arrangement is more amazing than another. And it's sort of like they work backwards. Because this is what happened, this is what we think is perfection. So we try and... We can't get around the fact that it's crazy, we've got two eyes. That's exactly where I put them. You know, these are brilliant. This is exactly... If I was making a person, I'd make it just like me. And it's hard not to think there was a will to it, but there wasn't.
You know the Mark Twain quote about it's so great.
Okay, that is quite interesting because he do think about the, when he's talking about probability of you know, we end up as we are. And because initially he said that, you know, if you throw, and then what is the quote unquote perfect arrangement. But if you really go to about it in terms of, you know, scientifically, arrangement, meaning that the probability, is there any probability that any arrangement become, you know, let's say self-sufficient system, right? Is there what is the odd of that, the probability, and add to that simultaneously, you know, million of that is happening. Now what is the probability of that? Meaning when we say million, meaning that for every living creatures, right? Meaning that everything have its own, you know, systems, etc. And that must come from that very small probability of it actually end up as such, right? And you know, that's from my perspective. How can you know, to actually go that and conclude that, you know, it happened, it just happened, meaning that the thing that is so improbable actually did happen until what we have now. You know, if you do not have the bias or tendency to begin with, right? Meaning that, okay, meaning do not have any, you know, do not think anything ridiculous, etc., etc. Just logical, rational, you know, being scientific. To say that this is, you know, by chance, is much more ridiculous than to see that it is designed as such, in terms of probability-wise, right? Even then, without any. We are talking about just reasoning, right? Not associating with any concept of God or creator or whatever yet. Just by looking at what we have. That's my view on it.
I have ears here to hold up these things. We have glasses, and these ears are just perfect for that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And another Mark Twain.
What's particularly good about that? It's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Because he's being sarcastic about evolution, and
Right.
But in a strange way, people should take the analogy of the glasses, because we know those glasses were made for ears. Do you know what I mean? It's strange. We know that we did that, and no one would ever go, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
I just found these weird glasses on the floor, and they fit my ears. And that's what people can't get around, because they want to do that with everything. They want to do that with, you know,
Yeah.
But wasn't it great when he made bees like pollen? You know, that was a master stroke. I'd have just had flowers and bees. He went, no, I'm going to make them need each other. Brilliant. There's a wonderful thing about Douglas Adams that goes against the intelligent design theory. It's a puddle.
Oh, the puddle, yes.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, you tell the story. I mean,
Well, it's just that a puddle is pondering, and it says, I must have been designed because I fit this hole perfectly.
Yes.
Which is just beautiful. What
Yes.
a beautiful metaphor.
Yes.
For trying to explain evolution and everything. I also, it's funny as well because they move the goalposts. You cannot.
So if I understand the analogy there, it is because the pond sees that it fits the puddle, meaning that fitting, right? Meaning, quote unquote, perfect to one another. Fitting is the reason behind thinking that it is being designed. Is that the point that is being tackled by that analogy, because I'm not sure whether, because I'm from engineering background, so when we look about, when we design systems, right, so we know, right, the thoughts that go into it to make something functional, and the fail safe and whatever, right, meaning that if there's any problem here, what needs to happen so that it doesn't become danger, hazard, whatever, right? So, and then looking at what exists in nature, right? So we have a system, digestive system, etc., and then if we eat something that is perhaps toxic, etc., so there's suddenly something is happening, and of course you can see that it's all natural, but is that meaning that after so many, meaning is that by chance, meaning that after so many, of our ancestors die, when they do not develop yet the system to suddenly, oh my god, that's toxic, eject, right, and then you have diarrhea, right? Meaning part of the evolution, not everyone have that yet, etc. Meaning, what is the logical path to whatever you can see now? That's my biggest question, actually, right? Is there, I don't know, our ancestors that do not have yet, male and female do not have yet their own organs that make them possible to mate with one another, so there's no pregnancy, and then and meaning what is the probability of the path from the beginning until now, that meaning that, oh, now the pregnancy is already developed, the system, etc., after so many random different paths, and then when they come up, then the mothers not yet have the milk, etc., meaning, because all of those, when we see here, it's if not designed, meaning it's by accident. It's by accident that the mother not only have from the pregnancy the umbilical cord, so within that period, okay, the kids survive, and then going out, and then suddenly there's milk, meaning, what are the chances, what are the probability, what are the logical paths to now, from the very beginning, when we not yet have organ, sexual organ, what, for example, etc., any, because I'm interested to see how from atheist perspective, those are being rationalized.
Win an argument with someone who believes in God, certainly who believes in an interventionist God. It's impossible. Well, you've won in the sense that you've tried your best and you think you're right, and they're deluded, but they go away, just as strong. I mean, their best argument, ironically, is that it's just faith.
Yeah, I do accept that some people are like that. They end up, it's just faith. Unfortunately, I'm not one of them, and I don't think that is a good foundation to stand on. Because one, then everyone can see that, right? Because I have many encountered before when I ask, okay, because they see that, you have to believe in Christ, blah, 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 blah. And I say, okay, what's the evidence that show that I should believe this is the truth? Many times it's always good that just put your faith in Jesus. But how is that different than suddenly a Hindu say, just put your faith, and suddenly someone else say, just put on your faith in that, right? Meaning, then it's just random and by luck or by chance or what, right? Because there must be a proof or evidence that can conclusively say for anyone to say, okay, then this is the truth.
Pretty pathetic, really, isn't it?
Well, it is pathetic, but they mustn't ever engage in logic. It's like top trumps. They mustn't pick logic on their cards. They've got to go faith 100%, and then you go, yeah, sorry, you win. That's the only way they're going to win this top trumps. They've got to keep away. Some embrace science. Some say God started the Big Bang. He invented the Big Bang, and he let it all happen. It was programmed, but now he's not an interventionist God. I say, well, so you believe in evolution? Yeah, but he did all that. Fine. But then he gave man free will. So then it's not his fault anymore. It's like there's evil, there's bad. He had to go with the flood, but he thought, I've tried once. Let him get on with it. I'm like, no. I'll be in the study, forget it. You know. And then I say, well, why do you pray then? Because it makes me feel good. So they sort of know. I think they sort of know, but they don't want to know. Because I think...
I'm not saying that this perfectly describes Christianity, but I think he is going that direction because, yeah, people around him, for the most part, would be Christian, right? There are several things that mentioned there that I think would not be the case for Muslim. But at the same time, I'm making this disclaimer. I do not know whether that actually all fit Christianity or just some Christians are like that, but shouldn't be. Right? Meaning that, what do you pray? It's just to feel good. Meaning, do all Christian think like that? I'm not accusing so. I'm not sure. Yeah, but for Muslim, if you go there and you see that it's just because in Islam is the context of submission and obedience. When we say about 5 times a day, etc., it's not really. It is mainly an act of obedience, right? We are instructed to, we submit. So it's not in the way that we do that in the hope that God will help us here, etc. Primarily, I'm not saying that hoping and then praying to God does not exist, but primarily speaking, why I live in a certain way, why I dress in a certain way, why I behave in a certain way, it is as an act of submission.
I did a film called The Invention of Lying, where there was a world where an alternative universe where we'd evolved and no one could tell a lie. And I play a guy who comes along and he can lie for the first time. And his mum's dying and she's worried about entering a void of nothingness. And I realise I can lie. And I say, no, you're going to a place where you'll be young again and you'll run and jump and everyone gets a mansion. And it's overheard and it spreads and I've invented a religion. Now, I sort of think that did play a big part in religion. You know, what's the point? I've seen people die, but they're looking down on me. They're still around. You know, that's human in a way. That's, you know, we don't want to think we're alone and we never see our loved ones again. Some you'd avoid.
By the way, because I've seen a lot of, you know, stories or movies that says or some people say that, you know, they still look down on me, meaning talking about people that have died. Is that something accepted in Christianity, that someone that have died is looking down upon me? Is that because in Islam, I would be, meaning I would question if any Muslim says that, because everyone, meaning we know that everyone when they die, they are mostly concerned about themselves. They do not have like, oh, now I'm free, let me, I'm worried about other people that is still living. No, we know for sure we are most worried about ourselves, and we have ourselves to be what, you know, that concerned about. It's not like everyone that now have you know, on the sky and looking down and hopefully the people on the earth. That's a, you know, non-existence concept in Islam, I would say. But I'm asking this for Christians, is that does that concept exist in Christianity, or is just some people when it shouldn't be, Christians shouldn't be thinking like that?
Pets aren't allowed. I know people that stopped believing in God because pets weren't allowed.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what's up with the dog? No soul. No soul. Yeah, so it's a minefield, really, for them. And agnostics annoy me more.
Oh yeah?
Oh, this new trendy little linguistic piece of logic that since neither can know, you've got to be agnostic. Well, okay, that's fair enough, but do you, follow the same rules with fairies and Santa? No, you don't. Would you tell your kid that we don't know if Santa exists or not? No, you wouldn't, you know. And which God don't you know exists? Which one? Which one don't you know about?
Thor.
Exactly.
Apollo.
Yeah. Well, I think Well, that's the other thing as well. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in about 2,700 gods. Christians don't believe in 2,699.
Yes.
So they're nearly as atheistic as me.
Yes. That's right.
As a percentage, they're right up there.
Yes.
They're very nearly an atheist.
Isn't that just play around words as well? Because in terms of the claim of gods, there's a lot of gods. Meaning, when we say gods in the word of English, right? Gods. When you say Thor or whatever, you say gods. But of course, because in Islam we just talk about Allah, right? The Khaliq, the Creator. There's no many claim of the Creator. There's only the Creator is the Creator. The difference between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism is the belief that our religion is the true religion from the Creator. We do not claim like, Islam claim that this is some separate Creator, then the separate Creator. No. When we say the Creator of universe, it's just that the belief that this is the one from the Creator. No, that one is the one from the Creator, right? That's the debate about. It's not about no. You believe in that Creator, right? Well, I believe in that Creator. What does that even mean? It doesn't make sense, right? So from that perspective, it doesn't fit. Meaning that when you say there's thousands of gods, no, obviously when we say about gods, object that people worship, we're not talking about that. Of course, I'm talking specifically here from Islamic perspective, and presumably from Christianity perspective, as well as Judaism and any other similar religion that claims that we are worshipping the Creator, not just, I don't know, because I'm interested about some other religion that do not claim about the Creator, but still teach something, right? Maybe just to make people happy or something. That's quite interesting to me as well. But yeah, it's not the same. You cannot say that. Of course, again, from the lens of an atheist, because the conclusion is there. Everything is made up. So that's why you can go there. But if you still haven't made that conclusion, right? That statement doesn't stick, I think, by Ricky Gervais at the end there. But anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully this is not that long. And what do you think? What makes sense and what doesn't make sense? Anything that you want to add, feel free to do so. With that, thank you for watching. See you next time.